5, 4, 3, 2.
Let's work.
Yes, party people in the place. We are back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to Hip Hop and Barbershops, only on the BarberTime network, because it's BarberTime
all the time.
I'm your man B Styles, the anonymous nobody.
I'm your favorite barber, Dr. Boogs, the Barber MD, representing these barbershops worldwide.
And our industry insider.
Talk to us.
This your boy Will, aka VA, everything music.
Everything music.
Everything music.
Everything music.
Representing everything music.
Talk to him.
That's it.
Speaking of that music,
hey,
before the break, we're having a great talk about that music, musicians, artists, groups that were rapping, writing with the cause. So I'm gonna turn it over to my hip hop aficionado brother B Styles, because he was here when it started.
Yeah, I'm old as dirt.
Continue educating the people though.
You know what I mean? That's gray hair on my face because it's dyed. That's real joints.
Well, listen, but that's why folks my age gotta appreciate the wisdom, because when we get around areas where there's people like you that could just bestow all this awesome information on this hip hop.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean?
Especially during commercial break, you had a whole slew of crazy artist names. So why don't you share with the people?
Yeah. We you know, there's so many groups. There were even people that made songs that were conscious songs, but they weren't necessarily conscious artists. You know, but they had a conscious enough to make a song that was relevant. You know, when I think about Redman, you know, he had a song called, what the hell are you looking for? Can't a young man make money anymore? You know what I'm saying? You know, like talking about, when the cops pull him over for no reason, and doing all that stuff like that. Yeah, LL Cool J, illegal search. When they were he was talking about getting pulled over and having the police illegal search his car. They weren't necessarily conscious artists, but they made songs that were relevant.
Absolutely.
Ice Cube, who made some of the most gangster songs, but then on albums like Death Certificate,
they had a different touch on them.
He was talking about, the black community being turned into Black Korea. Because of all the Korean shops that were coming into LA and treating brothers foul and stuff like that. So, I mean, you don't have to necessarily be the group, but you have to have a conscience. But
in 2019, that's still happening. That exact same example that you just gave us.
There's some dudes that say something every once in a while, but it's not what it was then. It was mainstream. You didn't have to find it. It was just in regular rotation.
And more so, I think, because of the times when hip hop started and what was really happening at the moment in America or what have you, it was so prevalent that what else could you say?
Well, nowadays, these dudes, I understand you want to make it, so I get it to some degree. I understand that, what sells might not be, the more positive thing. Okay. At some point, you're going to make enough money. Okay, now you have enough money. Why are you still doing the same thing that you were doing 10 years before, 10 years later?
With no change.
Right, you're not saying anything different. And you have a platform. You got millions of people. Millions.
Invested in you.
Right? Listening, hanging on to your every word. 1 million people following you on Instagram, on Twitter, on this, on that. And you have nothing of substance to say. Nothing. Nothing.
Gold on my watch. Gold on my arm. Listen, first time I heard that song, not to isolate that particular artist, but when I just hear this type of, I'm going to call it type of senseless, because even though that's your art form, and I know you're using that platform, but there has to be something that is said. You know what I'm saying? Just say something. And the fact that I just see my people almost getting hypnotized to it, to the lack of effort that I like to say, and they're kind of embodying that as hip hop, that joint kind of kills me.
Well, when you grow up in the hood, right? or the neighborhood.
The hood or the hood?
The hood.
All right.
Okay? When you grow up in the hood, I really don't need anybody to tell me how messed up the hood is. I live it. That's my experience.
All the time.
Right. I know that. What I want to hear about is something different. Something I don't know about. Something that's going to uplift me. Something that's going to get me up out of my condition. Something that's going to help me see beyond the four corners of my neighborhood. Something that's going to help inspire me to want to be better than the four corners of my neighborhood. If I'm surrounded by this all the time, and then when I go to listen to music, that's all I hear is the same thing, then ultimately I'm living in a trap.
Listen, you know what's crazy? So in the shop, right? When that Jay-Z 444 came out, and I'm pretty sure you saw on social media, it was just a craze, right?
Yeah.
Like, wow, like somebody's talking about investing and, you know what I'm saying? Like saving money and just, you know what I'm saying? Just going against the grain and like, or just getting your life together, right? But
Being a grown man, you mean?
Being a grown man, right? But it's like, it didn't feel compelling to me or us. When I say us, I mean like my shop and our patrons, because that's what we talk about all the time.
Right.
Like all the time. Like we're always talking about life insurance and small term investing, 10 years, 20 years, you know what I'm saying? How to be a man's man, lead your family. But that's just us. But when I saw the social media, like how people were like really praising the album, and it was a good album. I love the album. And I like it for it being something different. But a lot of the stuff that he was saying are things that I thought people spoke about.
Well, you know, the thing of it is that nobody's going to talk about those things on record because for the most part, people they don't want to hear that. You know, you have to wait till
if I can jump in.
Yeah. We'll jump in there.
Go ahead.
It's okay from a standpoint. A lot of these cats don't know. They just don't know. And unfortunately, when you are in the entertainment business, you live your life in reverse.
Yeah.
You don't build experience and then get a platform.
Right.
You get a platform, you build your experience, and it may take 15 years for you being in the BS for you to be able to speak out and say, okay, you know what? I was doing this and I thought it was right. But now I see 15 years later that it's not.
Exactly.
Jay-Z can speak on it because he has lived what he's speaking. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Had he not lived what he was speaking, how can he speak other than what he knew?
We totally agree with you.
If you say, okay, if I live in the projects and I know how bad they are, I don't want to listen to my music about how bad they are. Well, the only other thing somebody from the projects who was trying to make it can give you is what they aspire to. And most of that is having jewelry, having cars, having clothes, women, and the big houses. Because saving is not something that we see.
True.
You don't see the big time guy in the neighborhood talking about, yeah, let's get this money and put it together and buy some apartment buildings.
Boom.
Yeah, that's true.
All you know is you saw them when they had nothing, and now they got everything. How did you do that? Oh, that's how you did that. Let's follow suit.
Yeah.
Even if the apartment buying and the real estate is happening in the background, you don't see it.
Yeah.
And
it's not until that starts making you money where it makes sense for you to speak about it.
Fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, I can agree to an extent. You know, I definitely hear where you're coming from, that you can only speak to those things that you know about.
Right.
You know, it's hard for you to get on in the booth and start spitting about something you have no knowledge of. You know, but if you go back and in the history of hip hop, especially for these younger generation cats, there's enough of a blueprint for you. You can go listen to Brand Nubian. Maybe you didn't know about the 5% Nation of Islam before that. But they're gonna indoctrinate you into that world by just listening to All for One. You know, if you go back and if you think about even at the time when you know we had a lot of violence going on in hip hop in the 80s, what did groups do? They came together and made self-destruction. They made a posse cut. All these different artists.
You made a great point. The difference between them is when those groups were doing that, you could look outside and see what they were talking about. Mm-hmm. This is part of the disconnect between a lot of us, meaning 30 and up, and the 25 and younger. We have enough common sense to know where we came from because we saw it. And we see how easily we can go back.
Yep.
These kids don't see that.
They have no reference point.
Right. When you're a kid and the only president that you can reference is what? Obama?
Yeah.
It's the only president that you can say that you lived through?
Yeah.
What have you been through?
Well,
your life has been cake. So when you sit somebody down and say, hey, this is Black history and this is the soundtrack to it, it means nothing to them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's what y'all went through. Okay, cool, that's what y'all went through. We don't live like that no more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even though we know for a fact we're a finger snap away from being back in those same situations.
Always.
But they don't see it.
The only thing that changed was the technology.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? We're going to push pause right now on this. We're going to come back after this break. We're going to get into It Ain't Hard to Tell. But on the other side of It Ain't Hard to Tell, we're going to get back into this conversation right here.
Don't go
okay,
far.
we're going to keep building. Y'all stay tuned. Barber time all the time. Hip hop and barbershops.
BarberTime is serving others, people who are not able to make this trip, people who are not able to pay to get on a flight to come here, people who are not able to even have the understanding that they need to be at an event like this. BarberTime brought it. BarberTime is the reason why that I am able to speak to the masses, because it's you guys' venue, your camera, your mics that let me speak louder than just standing here at this barbers convention. It's time for you barbers, I'm calling your name. It's time for you stylists, I'm calling your name, to prepare yourself for the opportunity, because the opportunity is coming. And I'm telling you, BarberTime is the best media, social media for the barbers out there. Listen, watch BarberTime, because this is what we do, baby. This is the barber industry, this is what we do, and this is how we get down. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt.
And BarberTime all the time.